New research warns that 150 million people living in coastal areas around the world could be submerged by rising seawaters in the next 30 years. That is a major increase from previous estimates. The findings come from Climate Central, an organization of scientists and journalists in the U.S. Their report, based on new data, finds more than 70% of people living in vulnerable areas are in 8 Asian countries. That is China, Bangladesh, India, Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, and Japan. CNN meteorologist Tom Sater has been digging into this. Tom, this is your beat. Tell us what's happening.
Well, when I explain this to you, Cyril, and everyone else, the first thing you're going to think is, how could we miss this? This report from Climate Central explains a calculation error. Not just in the level of water rising, because that remains the same, but it's the calculation that they have made on what actually the level of land is. Let me explain. The old models, pretty much that gave us a depiction of the inundation of our coastlines, were way off by 3 times the amount of people across the world that will actually see inundation of water levels, 300 million people. Let's break it down. New numbers in this report, due to more accurate reading of the elevation of the land, more land is lower than we previously thought. Okay, let me explain what they're thinking here. This is a calculation error based on data from the past. The sea level rise with the water levels has not changed in the computer modeling. Still by the middle of the century, expecting about 1 to even over 2 meters of sea level rise. But they were using data from satellite imagery that was flying over coastlines around the world, trying to find out what the elevation of the land is. But the data was actually reading the tops of homes, the tops of buildings. It throws everything off by an average of 2 meters. So the sea level rise is the same due to the ice melt and the expansion of heat in the waters. But now you get the new data, and it really gives us a real true belief of what the elevation of the coastlines are. So with that said, we can go into some of these models. This is London. Based on the original models, this is what inundation would be by the year 2050. Now knowing the true elevation of the land, that water now expands so much farther. This is in London. Again, back to the older models. Let's go to another location. Let's go, let's say, to India. All right, here's Calcutta. You got the Delta region. Previous models, quite a bit of inundation, really, to be honest with you. But now with the new elevation, so much more water is making its way inland. One more for you. Southern Vietnam. All right, let's go there. Here's Ho Chi Minh City right about here, and here's the Southern Peninsula. Original models, then we go to the new data. It really is hard to fathom that it took this long for scientists to realize that the satellite data that they had was a big error. Again, measuring the tops of homes, because there are millions of people that live on coastlines around the world. And again, as you mentioned, when we look at some of this data, it really does hit Asia very hard. In fact, for all the countries that you were mentioning there, as we look at this again, this image, it's quite astonishing. But China's going to get hit very hard in the years ahead. Of course, by the end of the century, however, 200 million people will see complete inundation. So again, we're going to have to do something about this, because we're not going to change the levels of the water, but we're going to have to move people inland quickly.
Wow, Tom, look, thank you so much for your explanation. And, you know, I'm mindful that we started with the show with extreme weather events, and we had Bill Ware saying, hey, this is the new normal here in California. Welcome to the 21st century. And you're telling us now that there's so much landmass that we didn't realize is going to be regularly or permanently flooded, affecting, of course, tens of millions more. Tom, thank you very much. Absolutely. Whether they're cleaning up our oceans or accompanying a survivor of domestic abuse, there are unsung heroes changing lives all around us. Find out how you can vote for this year's CNN Heroes when we come back.